What's up, family? All right, so as everybody already knows what's going on with this guy on the screen right here. This is Jason Pope, Jason Roger Pope, aka DJ Kid, and I'm gonna give my 2 cents on this, but I'm gonna go full circle with it. Over the past couple of days, I've been hearing some videos and conversations and live stream I heard last night, and I just feel like black people are really not getting the point. Black folk are not really getting the point. They're not understanding exactly what needs to be done and what needs to happen, what needs to take place. So first things first, we're going to talk about this guy. We're going to talk about the case, the criminal indictment of this guy and his history and what he's been up to for the last, what seems like 10 years, according to what I just read. And so I'm going to address the system first. Then I'm going to address black men. Because black men, this includes you. All right? In a lot of ways, in more ways than you think. This includes you. This affects you. All right? That's what I mean by there's no running. And I'm going to prove to you today why there's no running from this shit. We're going to have to deal with this cracker in America. One way or another. There's no running from him. And third, I'm going to address the sisters. Because there's a complete breakdown in black womanhood right now. But first things first, man. Let's look at this real quick. What I have up on the screen, I have an article from ABC. And it's from Florence. And let's read through it real quick. A well-known Florence man charged with human trafficking earlier this year may have had possible victims far further back than deputies are currently investigating, according to records handed over to ABC 15. Excuse me. Clear my throat real quick. I'm better now. So Jason Roger Pope, 42. This man is my age. Popularly known as DJ Kid, was charged with 3 counts of trafficking in persons, 3 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, second-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor, promoting prostitution of a minor, and kidnapping back in August 29th. Warrant says Pope recorded women and underage girls. It's important because it's women and underage girls, which means he's probably not going to get in trouble for the actual women, and had sex with them on various occasions between September 2017 and July 2019, providing the victims with money and gifts in exchange. They also say he held some victims against their wills in Darlington and Florence in order to have them perform sex acts. The warrant says Pope knew some victims were under the age of 18, although they did not say if any of the women held against their wills were underage. The additional accusations included in this incident and supplemental reports obtained by ABC 15 investigates through the Freedom of Information Act FOIA requests. All right, so we scrolled up. This is an interesting paragraph I want to get to, but I might as well care. Let me go ahead and finish reading this in order. ABC 15 asked for all the incidents involving Pope about which the police wrote reports, no matter how he was involved, and the sheriff's office provided 14 incidents ranging from December 2011 and April 2019. Let me stop right there. This dude has had a paper trail going back to 2011, and they allowed him to exist in the community. They allowed him to exist in the public society no matter what. They just allowed him to be there. They allowed him to do what he was doing. And they're going to get into the details of what he was doing back in 2011. So Pope was listed as a subject or suspect in 9 incidents and a complainant or victim in 4. He was involved in one of them as a third party. So I mean, he was working with some other people. 5 of the 9 reports where Pope was listed as a subject were sex related. Only 1 filed on Christmas Eve in 2011 involved an adult woman. In them, he was accused of sending her pornographic texts. No big deal there. The first of the 4 involving underage girls happened shortly before that on November 4th, 2011. The report says two girls, 13 and 16, walked into a hospital and told doctors they had unprotected sex with then 34-year-old. The girls told police Pope had given them marijuana money in exchange for sex. For the sex, excuse me. An investigator was called to the scene, and the public portion of the report ends prior to the story being published. Florence County Deputy Glenn Kirby said both deputies listed in the report no longer worked for the department, and staff was trying to figure out how and why the case was resolved. They basically just let the guy go. They let him do his thing. He probably was sitting in kiki and ha-ha with the two deputies talking about how he fucked these black hoes and what he's doing with them, and showing them pictures, and they were like, hey man, he cool. He cool. We gotta take the girls, report by law. So, but after that, they're not gonna do anything. This is a young man, white man. This is not even a private white dude. This is a white dude that's in public. I'm gonna show you how public he was in a minute. The next time a sex-related allegation emerged was 6 years later. So for 6 years, he pretty much just had free reign on that community. On December 13th, 2017, a report was filed after a 16-year-old girl called deputies and threatened to commit suicide. She told officers Pope had been paying her for sex and blackmailing her into performing additional sex acts. At the time, she told deputies she cut off contact with Pope for 2 weeks, during which he had spread information about her on social media. Alright? She also told police Pope repeatedly paid 15 and 16-year-old girls for sex and filmed the encounters. She went on to say he recruited girls by handing flyers out promoting his DJ work and then bribed them. 6 months later, a Florence mother called deputies and said Pope was luring young girls on Facebook and Snapchat with promises of prizes. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. So this is in 2017. She told them that he had been communicating with her 15-year-old daughter. So out of all these girls, one mother called the police so far that we know of. The most explosive of the reports came just a few days later when a female family member of Pope contacted deputies and said Pope was having sex with minors. According to the incident report, the family member told deputies paid for girls' sex and posted it on social media. She reported that it had been happening for a long period of time, but had recently been getting worse. And they still didn't do nothing to this guy. Alright, so let me skim down here to the bottom. According to reports, the last time sexual reports. I don't care about that. According to the reports, the last time Pope called police was in 2017, because he was calling police for other reasons too. I guess he was getting into it with people. But a SLED background check shows his record actually started in 1995 with the conviction of impersonating a police officer. So this guy got convicted for impersonating a police officer. Nice. In 1996, he was convicted of promoting prostitution with a minor and was sentenced to jail time, but the time was suspended. So hold up. This dude was convicted of promoting prostitution with the minor and was sentenced to jail time, but the time was suspended. I wonder if he was black, if that would have happened. From 1997 to 2011, he was convicted on a myriad of charges, including ones like disorderly conduct and unlawfully using a telephone. How many times have we heard this? How many times have we heard one of these white vigilantes out here killing somebody, killing a black man or a black woman or harming a black person, and they have a fucking track record long as hell? Law enforcement had all kinds of run-ins with them. George Zimmerman had all kinds of run-ins with the law, had a history long as hell, stopping black people, harassing black people, but they keep cutting them loose. Same thing with the police officers. That police officer that checked out Eric Gardner, he had a laundry list of issues. The city already settled 2 cases before he got to Eric Gardner. Well, they settled 1 case and had 1 pending while he had his arms around his neck. Same thing with the guy that shot Tamir Rice. I mean, this is done on purpose, family. The system is not broke. The system is working exactly the way it's supposed to be. And I forgot to read his last conviction. In 2018, he was convicted of cruelty to children and was sentenced to time he had already served in jail. So this man was in jail in 2018. This dude was just wilding. He was just wild as shit. Pope is currently in the Florence County Detention Center, and on his current charges, his bond was denied. So now he's in jail. He will be prosecuted by South Carolina Attorney General's office, and authorities believe that there are additional potential victims and individuals who may be aware of the additional crimes associated with this case. Anyone with additional information encouraged to call or contact SLED at whatever that number is. But anyway, look, the bottom line is this: this man has been allowed to run around the community and do what he's been doing. All right, this is state-sponsored terrorism, but it's nothing new. There's nothing new about this. Been in America since we've been here for 400 years. It's been state-sponsored terrorism. How did we get AIDS in the community back in the 80s? How did we get that? It was given to us. How did we get syphilis and gonorrhea? It was given to us. How did drugs get into the community? They were brung in. We all know the CIA played a part in it. What don't you Negroes get? But that does not mean we don't have any responsibility in this. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. Being in America for 400 years, we should know better by now. We should know our environment is what it is. All right, so I'm going to read something to you to give you some more context about South Carolina. South Carolina law for consent, sexual consent. So when we talk about underage, what are we really talking about? All right, the consent age of sex in South Carolina is 16. So I'm going to read this to you right. The legal age of consent in South Carolina is 16. However, individuals as young as 14 years old are able to consent to have sex with a partner who is 18 years old or younger. So basically, if the girls are 16, they can have sex with whoever they want to have sex with. 30 years old, 35 years old, 40 years old, they can have sex with. It's the ones under 16. So the girls who are 14, 15, only ones who have a case against them. All those other girls who are 16 and older, they're good to go. So it's only the ones that were 13 or 14 or possibly 15 that he can get in real deep trouble for. And I'm going to show you why. Let me show you why he's going to get off on a lot of this. Because he has a great case for the fact that the women participated in it. See, what he did, the smart thing he did, is he documented all his bullshit. All those photos, all those text messages, it all looks consensual. Looks like they're having a good time. All the girls with the asses bent over. You don't think. So let me take my homegirl over here, Carmen Mills. Let's look at her. She's a big fan of his. Her Facebook page is still up. Her pictures are still up. No shame in her game. This man is in jail right now, and her shit is still up. How can this not look like consensual? How can this not look consensual? Doesn't look like a bunch of women who got axes to grind against him. She got photo albums. Look at this shit. He's a guy. Look at this. Of him with other women. Super fan. So let's go to the albums real quick. Let's go to the albums. This is one of those albums right here. Look at this. Just scrolling through. This is on her page. These are her photo albums. Look at this. All dark-skinned sisters. Some brown skin, but all dark-skinned sisters. Look at this. Homeboys hanging out with them. I'm going to get you brothers in a second. Look at this. This is trifling. This is trifling. Alright? All these girls are of consenting age. You understand me? These are not 13-year-olds. These are women in the late teens, early 20s, all on these photos. Alright? These are women of consenting age. Okay? Alright, so enough of that. That's just that it goes on and on. That's just one album. And she got Two more albums over here, part 4 and part 3. What part is this? This is part 3. So if you come over here and you look at her albums, she got part 4, part 1, part 3. It's like a damn shrine to this dude. And then she got her own photos too. Look at this, is scandalous. It's hoish behavior. And we're going to touch it on in a minute because I'm telling you right now, Black Womanhood is going to have to hold this. You're going to have to hold this. This is out of line, man. Look at this guy. This is his page. You put it all out there. Now, let's get off the system for a second. It's obvious what the system was doing. This man was a Trojan horse. He was a goddamn, virus literally put into the computing system of a black community and allowed to operate in that community. He was known about, and they did nothing about it. And now he's sitting here with HIV, and everybody's surprised. And a lot of people are surprised because they don't look at HIV and see white people. I'm talking about black people. Even black people. It's not just the world. Everybody sees HIV and they think black people. I'm talking about how black people look at HIV. When black people look at HIV, they see whiteness. Blackness. They don't see whiteness. They don't understand what's going on in white America. They don't understand how many white people are walking around here with AIDS. And I'm gonna show you evidence of that in a minute. But I want to show you something. I want you brothers to understand something. Look at this. This is Future with the dude. This is I forgot this brother's name. Kevin Gates. Yeah, the dude that kicked that chick on the stage and went to jail for it. Little Bootsy. Look at this, Trina. Let me explain something to y'all brothers, man. This man was allowed to come in the community, have his way with your women, infect them, and he did it wearing your uniform on some yo shit. He came in your community on some yo shit. Let me tell you why y'all tripping. You brothers down in South Carolina, but it's not just South Carolina. It's New York, it's Chicago. Maybe not the cities. Maybe it's mostly in the South, and a lot of other suburban areas that not really in the city, where I've seen a lot of black dudes hanging with these white boys. And you go on their page and they got a white boy and homeboy in the crew, and he's palming black ass and all that kind of shit. And not understanding what's going on in the white community. But I'm trying to understand, why would y'all allow a white boy to even come in your circumference? Why y'all so comfortable being cool with this white boy? Why y'all cool with somebody? Look, I was born in '77, and I was raised in the hip hop era. I was raised in New York in the '80s and '90s. This couldn't happen. You understand me? I know what you're gonna say, but then y'all have white rappers come out of New York like, MC Search and them, Third Base and the Beastie Boys. Look, the Beastie Boys go back to the 80s. Alright? And they wasn't hanging in the hood though. You understand me? They were for suburban America. A couple of white boys who were a little crazy and like to party hard and got a record deal with a black company. So? But that doesn't mean they were hanging in the hood. See, the dude he was doing, he had to hang in the hood. He's around hood chicks. Now, if I was to go down to South Carolina, there'd be a lot of hood nicks down there that would try to run me off the block properly. You understand me? It wouldn't be so easy for me to access that neighborhood. It's women, it's clubs, and hangouts and all that. It wouldn't be that easy. But this white boy got a free pass. I want brothers to explain that to me. Back in the 80s and 90s, that could not happen. You understand me? You couldn't have somebody like that come in the community. We would have, look, if you saw a white boy hanging around with us too long, playing black, dressed like us, we just getting him comfortable before he went in his pockets, man. We didn't allow it, man. You wasn't from our community, you wasn't from us. We didn't even allow other black people in our community like that, man. Let alone white people. White boys playing black. It was a defense mechanism. Let me explain something to you black brothers, man. Let me explain something to you brothers, man. In Afghanistan, there's a bunch of Arabs and running around. I don't really call them Arabs. They might be Persians. I don't know what they are in Afghanistan, to be honest. But those men in Afghanistan don't give a shit about their women. They treat their women harsh, man. They stone them. They throw acid in their face. All kind of shit, man. You know what I mean? But guess what? Let me explain something to you. You can't touch them. You understand me? Russian men are horrible to their women. They're hard on their women. But you can't go to Russia and just have your way with them. You understand me? You can't, fam. And I'm not saying that we treat our women like that. I'm just saying, even in the worst situations where men mistreat their women, they still don't allow other men to do it. You feel what I'm getting at? Now, I'm not talking to any of the brothers that are not from the hood. I'm talking about the brothers in the hood. I'm talking to hood niggas right now. I'm talking to hood brothers right now. Because, sisters who are up with mobile, in upper class, whatever, you really can't tell them what to do. They go and come and go as they please. And they usually don't live in a black community. You know what I mean? They usually don't. But if you even a place like Atlanta, the brothers kind of regulate things, man. We don't just allow these dudes to come in. Gary Owens got to prove himself, goddammit. He got to prove he cool every 2 minutes because he around black comedians and the black people all the time. He got to prove that he cool, you know what I'm saying? All the time. That's the pressure that's on him. It's going to stay on his ass. And I don't give a fuck how many shows he's done, how many times he hang out, how many barbecues he's been to. The first time he say nigga, his ass is done. You understand me? But this dude here was able to put your uniform on. Called himself DJ Kid. Get status and clout amongst the hip hop community or the street community. This is completely on the men. And let me tell you something else, man. Let me tell you why this, because I'm gonna get to the women in a minute. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a harsh video. But brothers, I want you to understand something. This man had sex with these women and posted that he gave them all AIDS in hopes that they go fuck as many black dudes as possible. So he went to hoes, women he knew were hoes. Look at the women that I showed you. These are women that are outright sluts. Broken females. We ain't got no training, no women training from their mothers. They're just out here. Easy to get. Anybody can just lay down with them. He can photograph them with their asses in the air. Just no pride. Some say, all right, well, he was paying some of them to do that. Paying them what? A few dollars and some marijuana? Some drugs? Some goddamn tickets to a show? I mean, come on, man. That's not even an excuse. That's low level shit, man. And y'all let this motherfucker come in here and do that, man. But he's not the only one. He's not the only one, fam. He's not the only one, man. We've seen this before. Remember Dylan Roof? Didn't he have black friends? Running around here with a Confederate flag? Didn't want to shoot up a church? How many niggas you saw hanging out with Yellow Wolf? And Yellow Wolf was running around here with a Confederate flag. How many niggas you saw running around with Machine Gun Kelly and he calling black women nigga bitches on the goddamn red carpet? There's no excuse for that, man. And Puffy need to answer for that shit too, by the way. All money ain't good money. But I digress. Listen, the bottom line is this. You're at risk. If your woman out there like that and you're not checking your women, and you're participating in it, because a lot of dudes are participating in this shit. A lot of black men were hanging with this dude. Co-signing him and giving him a pass so he can have access to your women. He couldn't have access to the women if the men didn't allow it, man. You understand what I'm saying to you? If he couldn't come around like that, he couldn't have access to them. I'm not even going to sit here and talk about the quality of women. I'm just talking about our sisters in general. You don't let another group of men or anybody from outside come in like that. You can't hate your women that much. I'm gonna say it one more time. You can't hate your sisters that much. Yeah, she's lost. But you can't hate them that much, man. You let this shit happen. You got niggas running around here celebrating this shit. Ain't nothing to celebrate. This is tragic, man. This is a mark on us. If anybody could come in and do this to, look, he had sex with over 600 women, man. He had his way in your community, fam. That's not something you can celebrate. It makes you look weak. I'm so tired of black men coming to YouTube. Brothers coming to YouTube and not understand how the world works. We all heard the Donald Sterling tape, man. We all heard it. He was in private, and what was he saying? What was his judgment? His judgment is that black people don't care about each other. Black people don't care about black people. That came out of his mouth. You know why? Because that's how the world sees us. You got motherfuckers running around here in sandals, man, with a goddamn broken-ass rocket on their goddamn shoulder. And they got more sense. They got enough sense to protect the women so they can reproduce themselves. You think they got the greatest women on the planet? These women ain't got no teeth and shit. They got no hygiene. But they are their women. And even though they treat them like shit, you can't touch them. This is a mark on manhood, and I know you don't see it that way, man. I would never tell you to go out here and give your life or risk your life for one of these sluts. But that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the fact that he was even allowed to be around. This nigga been around for 8 fucking years at least. Doing what he want to do. Complete scumbag. Look at this shit, man. This motherfucker, damn. Look at this brother right here. This is a brother from South Carolina, Drew Gordon. Damn, all these photos looks like he was taken in your house. And why I say something is weird about is you don't even smile in none of those pictures. This somebody posted something on his page. And you look like the guy who's on a mission to torture someone. But let's look at Drew. Let's look at Drew's page. This is a brother from South Carolina, right? He posted this shit on his page. But he's on here clowning sisters all day too. Look at this. This is a photo he got of the sisters. Making fun of her because she got these ridiculous fucking eyelashes on. And they are ridiculous. But he's putting on that shit to clown sisters. So what's going on right now with his brothers, man, is that what I'm seeing is because of the women's behavior, because the sisters' behavior has been so outlandish, is that they're starting to hate them. Because we were raised by whores, and we don't have respect for our own mothers, we're starting to hate our women. Really, really starting to internalize this shit. Because now niggas is out here celebrating this shit. Good for them. No, brother, it ain't good for them. That's your womb, fam. He didn't impregnate 600 women. He fucked them and gave them AIDS. And now they're out there giving AIDS to black men. You understand how this works now? You can't just step back and say, oh man, well, fuck them hoes, man, it's on them. No, you gotta grab them. You're like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Get away from that motherfucking cracker. You understand me? Because they bringing AIDS into your community. This shit is crazy, man. This is insane. This is a goddamn disgrace, man. This is a disgrace. This is a fucking disgrace, man. Look at our sisters. Look how broken the black woman is. And you know why this is important to me, man? Because my daughter's mother ain't shit. And if I let her raise my daughter probably would have been shit. But to see my daughter turn into the woman that she is right now, knowing the impact that I have on her life, knowing that those tennis players, those black females who were playing tennis, look how their daughters turned out being trained by their fathers. Look at the success. You can't tell me we ain't got work to do. We can't do nothing about these sisters. They're done. They're defiled and, they're ruined. But we got black women coming up behind them. And there's still sisters out here who have not been defiled yet. These sisters are done. These are ran-throughs. He ain't the only person that fucked them. They willing to do this, man. There's no telling what they into. This is disgraceful, man. But this reflects on you. You can't run from that, black man. That's the problem. We can't run from this. So before I get to the sisters, man, I want to show y'all something, man. Let me show y'all something. Let me close all this out. I want to show y'all something real quick. I want to show you something, man. This is the abortion laws in South Carolina. Consent requirements. I'm going somewhere with this. Stick with me. Pregnant woman's written consent is required for an abortion to be performed in South Carolina. These are actually one of them states where that have stricter rules on abortions. You know what I mean? Especially for underage women. If you're overage, then it's pretty much a free for all. You ain't gotta let nobody know nothing. All right, but even if all women have to do a written consent form, basically is required. So you got to fill out a form, giving consent. Anyway, however, if she's under 17 years and unmarried, so she's married, then the husband's got to be notified. But the consent of at least one parent or grandparent or guardian is required, except in medical emergencies or if the pregnancy is in the result of incest. Excuse me. That's actually how it should be. I don't think 17, it should be under 18, but that's just my opinion. I don't think of my 17-year-old daughter, I don't think my she's under 17. I don't think my 17-year-old daughter should have the right to do it either. I think it should be under 18. But that's the abortion laws. So you already have strict, almost strict laws. Abortion is legal, but it's not, you can't just do it without some parent knowing about it if you're a young girl. So even though the age of consent for sex is 16, if you're under 17, you got to get permission from your parents to have, to have an abortion. And if you're under 16, if you're 14 or 15, like say the father is 17, 18 years old, you need permission from one of your parents or a family member. So that's the law in South Carolina. All right? That's the law in South Carolina. I want you to put a pin in that, okay? I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But right now I want to show you something about what's going on out here. And let me cut this music off real quick. Let me pause this because I want to play this for you. I want you to listen to this. Now, this is something that's happening in white America. And I'm going to address the sisters. But right before I address the sisters, I wanted to just give you some education. That's why I showed you the abortion law. Now I want you to watch this video real quick.
There is power.
Every Monday night since about the end of March, the church-going people of Austin, Indiana, have marched through the streets in the north end of their town and prayed for the people who live there.
Revive this community, oh God. God, you're the only thing that can bring hope, oh God.
Austin has a population of only 4,300 people, but 150 from in and around town have become HIV positive in just the last several months. The biggest HIV outbreak in a small, rural American town ever.
And we just pray that your hand would be upon them this very.
There probably isn't anyone in this march who doesn't know that this neighborhood has been churning out drug addicts for years. Users hooked on prescription painkillers, sharing needles and diseases. HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C.
Take back this neighborhood. I lived here when I was a little girl and it was a whole lot different than it is now.
That's for sure. Faith is big in Austin. It has at least 35 Christian churches. But there is now also a billboard on the I-65 just outside of town that encourages HIV testing. Rolling into Austin, you're immediately shown the way to the Outreach Center, where you can get an HIV test. Or get clean needles at the Needle Exchange, something Indiana had outlawed until the HIV outbreak scared the state into suspending its anti-drug paraphernalia law. For a while.
This has been the place to come since I was.
Just to let y'all know, back when Mike Pence, the vice president, was he was the governor of Indiana, because conservatives, they were against the needle exchange programs that they had in places like New York and California. dealing with the drug epidemics, and they saw the success of that. But even though they saw the success of that, because of their quote unquote conservative and or religious beliefs, they didn't want to encourage drug use, so they were banning against it. But unfortunately, a drug crisis happened in white America, and they started sharing needles, and then the HIV epidemic broke out in Indiana, and this is not just Indiana; it's other parts of the country too. But this is what they don't tell you about. They don't tell you the color of AIDS anymore. The color of AIDS is not only black; it's a lot of white. So all you sisters out here running to these addies, you need to finish watching this video.
Since I started getting high.
Brandy wouldn't give us her last name, wouldn't let us show her face, but she wanted to tell her story.
Have you been tested?
Yes.
When?
2.5 weeks ago.
What happened?
I'm HIV positive, along with hepatitis B positive, along with hepatitis C positive.
When you heard that, what did you feel?
Actually, I really feel dead.
You feel dead?
Yeah, not like feel dead, but it's like you pretty much, with Hep B, Hep C, and HIV, you pretty much are.
Brandy still shoots up the painkiller Opana at least 3 times a day. But now she has clean needles and doesn't share used ones.
Before they started supplying us with clean needles, they, everybody used after everybody.
She's still getting high, still doing drugs. Just want you to understand that.
Else.
Yeah.
Because because we tried to go into the local Walmart and buy them, and they wouldn't sell them to us because of our arms.
Really? With that?
Yep. Track mark.
Track mark.
Yep.
I'd like to give everyone an update on today's numbers from the Indiana State Department of Health.
Every week now, state health officers brief reporters on new HIV cases in Austin. Dr. Jennifer Wathel seems to have been expecting an outbreak like this somewhere, someday.
This is a culture that has been long-standing here in this community, and we know in many others.
Austin's only Dr. William Cook says the HIV outbreak was inevitable because of the drug addicts' needle sharing. And that was all inevitable because of the poverty and lack of opportunity.
I'm not sure that Austin is really that different from a lot of towns across rural America. I worry about the other people in the surrounding area that are living similar lives as the people here. What are we doing for them? Are we doing enough? And my guess is that we're not, and we're failing those communities just like we've failed Austin.
Linda Thomas was a typical casualty of IV drug use through most of her teens. She's been clean for more than a year now and sometimes takes her baby on the prayer walk. Both she and her husband Jeremy know very well the cycle of hopelessness that leads to drugs and to more hopelessness.
You wake up sick, you wake up with withdrawals, you really feel the symptoms other than just mentally in your head. You get the sweats, you're restless, your legs hurt, sometimes you throw up, get real bad pains in your stomach. It's just a miserable feeling. It's like Satan's taking over your body.
No control.
No control, it's wicked. And
it's like that every day.
Every day you wake up.
Yep.
Neither Linda nor Jeremy is HIV positive, but not long ago they were both pretty sure their futures would only be darker and more desperate than their pasts.
Y'all looking at 2 drug addicts, all right? And this is how they do their drug addicts. They put them in the church, make them look salvageable and make them look human, but they make you look crazy whenever they get a chance. They make you look subhuman every time they get a chance.
It's painful to think about. It makes you quiver to think of the things you used to do. And it's amazing to know that I overcame that. And I overcame that with Christ.
It is simple, but it's not easy.
What becoming church people did for them was erase the sense of loneliness and worthlessness they had been trying to escape through drugs.
People need to know, even though Austin is consumed with drugs right now, they're people, they're God's people. And they're me, they're you, they're just people that got led into sin and they got consumed in their sin and they're lost and they need us to get out.
What is the recovery leading them to? There needs to be some sort of opportunity there for them. If they come out from IV drug use and they don't have anything, you know, what have we done for them?
God, we will continue, God, to lift up those that, God, that are struggling with bondages, God, and alcoholism, God, and drugs, God.
The HIV outbreak has turned a spotlight on Austin, and that has brought help from as far away as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta.
Listen, there's hundreds of videos about this, and Indiana is an epicenter for white HIV, and but it's not just there. It's rural America, period. And this is an article I found. Mike Pence is still being to blame for an HIV outbreak in Indiana, but for new reasons. And this came out in 2018, so he was already in the White House. And this is a good article that talks about everything. I'm gonna put it in the description box so you guys can read it. This is actually a good read, but it goes thoroughly through everything that happened in Indiana, in HIV in that state, going back to 2013. And it's a real good read. And it also talks about STDs, other STDs that's going on in white America. So when you hear that outbreak at Coachella of HPV, of herpes and all that kind of stuff, these are things you got to worry about. What's going on in white America? White America's right now hooked on drugs. Okay, white America's hooked on drugs. And there's another video I want to show you real quick. Yeah, this one here. And in the face of HIV, again, I want the sisters to understand the face of HIV. I want you to understand it's not just a black thing, all right? This is what you need to see. This is a real quick video.
A deadly disease is rampant across the metro area, and scientists are calling it an epidemic. Channel 2's Dave Huddleston met with doctors who are now comparing parts of the metro area to third world countries.
That's exactly right. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention statistics suggest 1 in 51 Georgians will be diagnosed with HIV in their lifetime. And Atlanta is the epicenter of the southern epidemic. Come on. J.R. Watson has AIDS. He says he contracted it from a woman he was dating.
Sat there and I literally cried like a baby for 30 to 45 minutes. All it took was that one time with that wrong person to change your life forever.
A life that requires dozens of pills daily, so many he uses a tackle box to store them. He shares his story so everyone understands AIDS can hit anyone.
It doesn't matter who you are. Just because you live in a nice neighborhood, you live outside of Atlanta.
But if you live in the capital city...
I want you to understand what he just said. So that's how they look at Atlanta. That's how they look at black people. This is supposed to be a black person's disease. You understand me? Your boy Jason Pope, he was a damn soldier. You understand me? He came into that neighborhood to destroy it.
AIDS research officials say the number of people affected is staggering.
Downtown Atlanta is as bad as Zimbabwe or Harare or Durban.
Emory's Dr. Carlos Del Rio compares Atlanta's AIDS problem to third world countries. How did it get this bad? He says the disease now affects just about every population, but in particular African Americans with limited access to health care.
Don't have food on your table, have kids to take care of, and somebody says you have HIV, that's just another problem that you have.
Another problem, a lack of leadership and mismanagement. In this audit of Fulton County's HIV prevention program, it cites poor management and the staff's inability to use millions of free dollars given to them by the CDC to educate and serve high-risk HIV communities.
Well, it certainly was a bruised eye.
After learning of the problems, Fulton County Chairman John Eves demanded new leadership.
I did meet with city officials directly and assured them that processes were in place to make sure going forward monies would be better accounted for.
Here's why that's critical. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says if you live in the Southeast, you're more likely to be diagnosed with HIV than any other part of the country. In Georgia, the risk of diagnosis leaps to 1 in 51.
We should not be having an epidemic of that proportion in a country like ours.
But we are. Fulton County now has a new public health director, and
this is the part where the fingerprint comes in, okay?
It's now steering its mobile HIV testing unit into hot zones, zip codes with the highest number of HIV cases. The day we were with them downtown near Grady Hospital, They tested more than 30 people. 2 came back HIV positive.
HIV has not abated. It has not gone anywhere.
That's it. But fortunately for Watson and others with AIDS, it is no longer an automatic death sentence if you receive treatment. Watson also found love and is now married.
I fall in love with her more every day, and that's no lie, that's no exaggeration.
Fulton County officials told me they now have a new health department director, and they also said they are working with an HIV task force on new programs to educate.
All right. It's just crazy, man. This is a sad deal. This is a sad deal. And I'm going to show you something that points to what's going on in the South. The South is becoming the epicenter of the HIV crisis. Why? Because that's where most of black people live. The most black people live in the South still, believe it or not. We have heavy concentrations in Chicago, heavy concentration in New York, but the majority of black people, cluster-wise, is from Virginia all the way down to Texas. Down through the South, Texas, on over to Florida, and up to Virginia. That's where a lot of black people are. And there's no surprise to me that this is the epicenter of the HIV crisis. All right? So I'm going to show you this real quick. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'm going to drop the links in the description box, and y'all can watch these reports yourselves. But I want you to see something in the beginning of this report. This is very important.
Tonight, we continue our series, The End of AIDS. Yesterday, we looked at San Francisco and at one of the nation's most ambitious plans to curtail AIDS. Tonight, we turn to a city where the struggle is much more difficult. Atlanta, Georgia, and much of the Southeast is by some measures the epicenter of America's AIDS crisis. And as correspondent William Brangham and producer Jason Kane report, the barriers to stemming the epidemic there are enormous. This report was supported by the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting.
The alarm bells rarely stop in the inpatient and isolation wards at Grady Memorial Hospital. Here in Atlanta, just down the street from the CDC, in 2016, in the age of life-saving antiretroviral drugs, hundreds of people are still dying every year from AIDS.
The epidemic of HIV in America is forgotten, but not gone. People have forgotten that it exists. I think I have a better chance of winning the lottery than I have of ending AIDS in where we are today, right?
The southeastern U.S. is the epicenter of America's epidemic. These states make up 44% of people living with HIV, and they make up half of all new HIV diagnoses.
It's almost like...
There it is. Boom. Look at the map. Look at the map. Look at all that dark red. Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. There it is. And it's darkest in the blackest areas. Now, there's white HIV all around that. There's white people with HIV all in there too. Okay, especially in the rural parts because of the drug epidemic. But we're getting a lot of ours, not just through drugs. No. Most of us is coming through fucking. Now, I'm going to address the women right now. I'm going to address the women. Because, in my opinion, there's been a complete breakdown in motherhood. Black womanhood is at a fucking dismal low. This is complete, I won't say completely, but this is a real responsibility for the women. The main responsibility any woman has is to protect her womb. My daughter just went to the gynecologist for the first time today. And she learned a lot of new stuff about her body today. Like where her ovaries are and her uterus is. She got to see it and got to see how close they were to her vaginal canal. That's where life is supposed to take place. And when life is supposed to take place, y'all don't value it. Y'all have sex with anybody, anytime, anywhere, just because your pussy's wet. And it's your body, you can do what you want to do. But look what this white boy is able to do. Black men have been saying for years, the AIDS epidemic that first came up with the black women in the 90s was because of promiscuity of the black women. And that was us returning fire, because as soon as there was an HIV epidemic amongst black women in the 90s, they immediately blamed it on black men. And then that whole black men, that DL, download thing started. And, well, they're coming out of prison and they're having sex with the women. Or they're on a down low. So it was a double dig. It was saying y'all secretly homosexuals. And, y'all here victimizing the women. And the question I have is, to the black women, is this: if we were getting in prison, who was giving it to us? Prison is a controlled environment. I know what you're gonna say. Well, somebody had it, brung it into the prison. Really? After our history in this country, you don't think a lot of those brothers was given AIDS? A lot of brothers ain't out there fucking each other. Everybody ain't fucking each other in prison. All right? Especially brothers who are coming in and out. Niggas in there for 2-3 years, whatever. You know what I mean? They ain't hard up like that. Unless they got raped. But if a black man got raped, you want to now blame him for being raped? See, regardless if the men were in jail or not, your job is to protect your womb. You had an AIDS epidemic in the 90s. You had a single mother epidemic. You had an epidemic of women killing their babies. That's when we had songs like Brenda had a baby and all that stuff. And there was a bunch of songs put out by brothers like Tupac and H-Town. They touched on this stuff a little bit. Losing Isaiah came out. It was a movie. Remember Halle Berry was in that? Remember that? Because that was a thing. Women throwing their babies in trash cans, throwing them in storm drains, and all kind of shit. So they came out with laws in the 90s. And it wasn't just black women. Because with this sexual freedom came selfishness. When sexual freedom was introduced to women back in the 60s, came selfishness. You know how many fucking abortions took place in 2019 so these girls can have a hot girl summer? Women who found that they were pregnant in February, found that they were pregnant in March, April, and they want to fuck up their body because they wanted to have a hot girl summer. The first directive for any mother is to protect her children. You can't put that on men. The first directive for a woman is to protect her children. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I remember when I was, my daughter was in elementary school, and I had to get home every day to get her from the bus stop. I didn't have a babysitter, or none of that. And we had just moved to Woodbridge, and she was, somebody needed to be there at the bus stop. And I remember her getting off the bus stop, and us walking to the house. And I would look around the community. This is like a townhouse subdivision full of townhouses and stuff like that. It wasn't a poor neighborhood. And I remember looking around, and I realized there was not that many women in the community. It was nothing but kids running around. This is why I support Nicole in the beauty. I support Nicole's message so much. Everybody like, yo, why the women want to sit at home? They want to be gold diggers. No. When the women now work and everybody's working, there's no one in the community with the children. So when the kids get abducted, there's no one there. When those kids are walking home by themselves, there's no one there. And then when they get in the house, they left to their own devices. So then the middle school kids would come home. In fact, before my daughter would get dropped off, the middle school kids and the high school kids would come home first, because they got out earlier. And I don't watch these middle school kids and these high school kids going from house to house. No parents in these houses. Groups of girls going to a dude's house. Groups of dudes going to girls' houses. I'm just sitting on the porch watching this shit. No one's home with the children. They're sitting home listening to ratchet music, watching sexually explicit videos, God knows what they're watching on TV. They're watching porn, and they're left to their own devices, and there's no women, no mothers, no aunts, no grandmothers there. They're left to their own devices. And we wonder why we have what we have. The truth of the matter is a lot of black women don't want to be mothers no more. Being a mother is second, third dairy. You're lucky if you're secondary. Her pleasure is first. Whether that's attention, dick, partying, all three. All that comes first. Before anybody say anything about where the fathers is, I want to know where the mothers are first. I get it. Men have got responsibility in this situation by letting these predators into the community or not policing their own community of black male predators. All the brothers are allowed the R. Kellys to post up in front of high schools and didn't say nothing. Hoping that their little sister got chose or their daughter got chose so they get a fucking check. We gotta address the fact that there's a lot of low level shit going on in the black community. Whether this man if you think he's 100% at fault, no one else is at fault but him. Because I heard a lot of that talk too. No one else is at fault. We're victims in this. If you believe that, you can't tell me 600 females is not our fault. The fact that somebody can get that many fucking women that says that your community is weak, it's up for grabs. And that's a responsibility of the men and the women. And the women. The first directive of a female, the first directive of a woman is to protect her womb. Once she has children, it's to protect the children. See, back in the day when we had men at work all the time, the reason why you knew pastor came by in the middle of the day and went into Mrs. Jones' house, because the women were there and saw it. The reason why predators could just come in the community and abduct children as willy-nilly as they do now, it's because there were women in the community. There were women walking around, women sitting in the window, women sitting on the porch, talking to each other. And everybody said, yeah, they sitting around just gossiping. But I'm gonna tell you right now, them gossiping where they were was a defense mechanism. Somebody was getting raped. There was a girl, a little child being molested. The women would see that, and they would bring it to their husband. Harold, I got something to tell you. You won't believe what's going on over there. I'm not sure, but this is what I saw. And then the men would get out of his fucking chair. He would go get his right-hand man in the community. They'll grab 2 or 3 other guys. They'll talk about it, and they'll go see that man. That's how a community is supposed to work. You can talk about the system all you fucking want. You can't get 600, not 600. You can't get almost 700 girls. You can't have access. One dude with a track record, one black woman already called the cops on him back in 2017. He's still going. That's a failure of womanhood. It's a sisterhood of failure. You can't put that on black men. Who raised these girls? Oh, another thing I heard. Some of these girls come from group homes. All of them? Do you know that? Stop fucking making excuses unless you know the goddamn details. You're not helping them. You're not helping our little girls. Our girls gotta be raised, man. And these girls are not being raised. Look at the fucking numbers. Most of that, what you see on the screen, that color, most of that's black females. But you want to promote a hot girl summer. You want to play ratchet, sexy, explicit music with your fucking little girl right there. You got your little girls twerking. These are women doing this. Black womanhood is done. And I'm hurt. Because I was raised by real black women. My grandmother, my aunts were black, I mean, the vanguard. There's no excuse for this. The Dollar Stones of the world looking at this kind of shit and like, look at these niggas. Look at the men. Look at your community, black men. This reflects on you. You can't run away from this, black man. So you want an SYBM. How the fuck is that gonna fix that what's on the screen? How does SYBM fix that on the screen, brother? How do we continue our race? How do we reduce ourselves? Because just like the Afghanistan man who don't give a shit about his woman, who will throw acid on his woman, understands at least that much, that he gotta reproduce himself. Black women need to get back in pocket. They need to get back in pocket. But they can't get back in pocket if we all over the place as men. If we're not willing to lead. We won't allow fucking DJ kids to come around and just have their fucking way. This motherfucker had a field day with our women. South Carolina is one of the most blackest. I'm talking about black. You ain't gonna find a lot of light-skinned blacks in South Carolina. South Carolina is the bastion for chocolate. You know what I'm saying? Dark skin Geechee. You know what I'm saying? This is dark skin shit I'm talking about. He just destroyed 600 wombs, man. And you're gonna have these doggish boys, these black boys, who are still gonna run up in these females. He just created a goddamn bomb, a biological bomb. You can't laugh at that. We can't laugh at this. It's not fucking funny. This is not a joke. This is serious. This is crazy, man. You got a sister who got her head blown off in Texas. There's still videos all over the place of black people getting set upon by the police. One of the number one killers for young black men right now in America is the police. And all you niggas is running around here talking about fraudulent red pill. I mean fraudulent, because again, red pill means you'll be out here going to war with the machine. But y'all not real red pill. Y'all red pill popping for pussy. And then y'all want an SYBM. I'm done with the sisters right now. I could go on them all day. They're disgusting. Their behavior is disgusting, and there's no excuse for it. And anybody making an excuse for it is an enabler. You don't care about the community. You're lying. You're not B1. You're not black first. You're not. You're not a pro-black. You're none of that shit. If you're going to make excuses for sisters' behavior. There's been a complete breakdown in womanhood. And black women are responsible for black womanhood. Just like black men are responsible for black manhood. And if I can address the men, you should be able to address the women as women. I should never have to open my mouth up about the women if black womanhood was intact. But there ain't no black womanhood. So this is what we faced with. Now here's the good news. Here's the only good news I have for you. There's been a complete breakdown in black society. And this is evidence of it. The fact that these crackers are still going around and blow our heads off and it has not been a fucking rebellion yet is evidence of it. That black men can watch other black men get shot down and not even talk the way I'm talking. Talking crazy out here on YouTube. Talk about pussy all day. I'm overseas getting this paper so I can strengthen my position so I have more resources. I'm not running from shit. I'm coming home. I'm coming back in shape. Physically, financially, mentally. But I gotta admit, my heart is broken right now. This situation is serious, family. Look at the screen. Y'all wanna say I ain't keep playing games for real? That's what it is. Family, that's what it is. This what this is now. Brothers, Let me bring something up real quick, man. Let me show you something. Man. Where's my favorites at? Bookmarks. Let's see. I thought No. Let me put in, I want to show you something, man. Demographics.com. Let me see what happens if I bring this up. Alright. I want you to get here. I want you to get to the purple. I want you to understand this statement. I'm going to close this video out. But I'm going to bring this up for you guys to see. And I need you to get here. Alright, black men, this is all that matters. You alright? You see this on the screen? This is all that matters. It's all that matters right here. I need you to get here. I need you to get with me. Get to the purple. You understand? 100K to 200K. That's the margin. That's the mark. That's what we got to get. Alright? That's first things first. Focus on getting your paper. Alright? Then we got to get to work. We got to organize. You understand? We got to come over the code of conduct. There has to be punishment for some of the bad behavior we see out here. But we can't do that if you're down here, brother. Or if you're down here. You understand? We need to get up here strong. And we can do it. We can do it. The Jews done it. It's not that many poor Jews. And there's poor Jews. There's Jews out here on Section 8 in New York. Which is fucked up because they're in intact communities sitting on Section 8, which is crazy. They just benefit from the enclosed, community. And that's how our community should be. Our community should be enclosed. You can't just walk in a Jewish community and do what you want to do to their fucking women, man. Or their children. You can't. I'm not talking about police on every corner. I'm just saying in general, the men ain't having it. No matter how you feel about black women and their behavior, because God believe me, brother, I'm with you on it. I'm disgusted by their attitude, their lack of fucking responsibility for their womb, their hoish behavior. I'm tired of it. But SYBM is not going to fix it. Because I just proved to you in a previous video, we can't all do it. So what's the fucking point? I'm over here in Germany, man. There's beautiful women working around here all day. It's hard to, you know how hard it was to go. My daughter had 2 appointments today. I was on daddy duty today. You know how hard it was to go hang out with my daughter in these women's spaces at these fucking female doctor's offices and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because she's 16 and now she's, it's time for her to become a woman. So this is like an intro to the game, And we sat down with her doctor today, and I like this lady. She was real nice, and we sat there in the office, and when I told her the strategy we have for her as far as her health care, and I want to kind of be a handoff because she's 16, she'll be 17, she'll be 18 before she knows it's time for her to start handling her own business as a woman and taking care of herself as a woman, for real, in a real way. So she got tested today and all that kind of stuff. Had her first pap smear. You know what I mean? Real woman shit. And I'm sitting in the lobby talking to this white chick was beautiful, man. Gorgeous. And we just having a good conversation. When my daughter comes out, she's like, your father's awesome. You're an awesome man. You know what I mean? They so polite over here. And it's intoxicating. They're so nice to you and welcoming, and And I want the sisters to understand is that when we got to deal with your fucked up attitude and we see that, motherfuckers is ready to jump the ship. They're ready to hop the fence. They're ready to go. Now, unfortunately for y'all, a nigga like me don't give a fuck. I'm cool. I don't need to run anywhere because I'm not going to put up with your bullshit. I'm going to check you right there where you are. Ain't nothing the fuck you can do about it. But for some reason, a lot of brothers can't get there. They can't figure it out. So first things first, brothers, I want you to start focusing on the purple. We need to get to the purple. If you want to aim for the gold, go for the gold, brother. I ain't mad at you. Get up there. I'm aiming for the gold. You know, I got a business venture next year I want to launch, man. I'm trying to get there, but most of you brothers right here, the majority of black men can get here. And if you can't get there, you should end up, if you're trying, you should end up here in the high green. You understand? Not 35, but the high green. I'm talking about 70, 80. That should be your bottom, but the goal is 12, man. You want to get up in this. I want this purple to turn into 20%. You understand me? Can we aim for that? Because we need resources and we need to get on the grind. This does two things. It not only just helps us get resources, but it also gives us the stature that we need to command shit. Because you can't command shit from down here. You understand me? You can't dictate shit from down here. This is real talk, man. All right? The sisters could get this on their own. They can get 21 and 25% on their own. You understand? They can get the red and blue on their own, nigga. A lot of sisters are in the green on their own. Whether it's government jobs, and post office, whatever. You understand? They can get here on their own. They can do this online. They can sell some shit online and make $50K a year. So I'm saying this, man. If we really want to make a sea change, we have to aim for the purple. All right? And that's the good news. And that's part of the good news. What I'm saying is that we have an opportunity right now to rebuild and start something new. You understand me? A lot of people look at rebuilding and they look at that re-word and they think it's doing something over again. When they rebuilt the World Trade Center, did they build the same buildings? No. They built something new. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't move the World Trade Center to another location. All right? They built another structure and another complex there and a memorial. Brought in one of the most renowned artists to come in and design that building. Brought another artist in to design the subway station. Brought in another artist to design the memorial. And they went to work. And it's beautiful down there. So they built something new on something old. All right? We know what works and what doesn't work. Okay? We know what works and what doesn't work. It's time to move on. I love you all. And I want you to understand, business is life and life is business. And black men, we got to handle ours. I'm Jay Sean. I'm out.